Here's my new smile. Bottom teeth only.
What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Dave with the intro, thank you so much. We are here talking Ironheart. We got 3-episode premiere on Disney Plus. We want to break it down, talk about it. But before we get into all of that, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I am fan-freaking-tastic. And I gotta say, it's been a wild month of June for me. I've been really busy with the music and the shows. Some of the shows that I don't want to watch that I'm watching, that I watch for you guys, like Lazarus. But this show doesn't qualify for that. I think I would still want to watch it, even though even if we weren't reviewing it, I'd still want to watch it. So, but I do have some thoughts. So before we get into that, before we get into that, Doug, how are you doing?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I'm doing all right. Doing pretty darn good. It was haircut and comic book day. I don't know if you could tell.
We could definitely tell.
Oh, I did see it on Instagram that it was, so.
So, pretty outstanding day. Any day that I get to have comic books and a haircut.
Sorry, Tundra Walker just... He said, I'm just here to see Dave say it's a 6.5.
Whoa, this isn't Morbius now. Slow your roll.
You're giving me too much credit.
Tundra Walker, I believe you need to review the Doug scale. I don't believe you're up to date on what the numbers actually mean. So take a closer look at that.
Probably already gone.
Yeah, exactly. He probably jumped in, posted, and then you deuces.
All right, guys. See you.
Peace.
But I want to know, Keith, how you're doing.
Oh, and he is still here. We are always happy when you're here, Tundra Walker. Did you watch Ironheart yet? We're curious what you think of it. But, gentlemen, I am tremendous. Today was my last day working until July 7th.
Wow.
We're heading to a water park this weekend to celebrate my daughter's 17th birthday. Things are great. I'm so happy. Mostly not to just be working. But still, it's always a good time. So, we got 3 episodes. We're getting 3 episodes next week. And we got some news and rumors possibly after. So, yeah, and that's it. We got 2 weeks of Ironheart. I don't know why they're racing it out, but they must have their reasons. Are you gentlemen ready to talk a little Ironheart?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, we did, like I said, got 3 episodes. We got Take Me Home, Will the Real Natalie Please Stand Up, and We in Danger Girl. And it starts out, Riri is trying to get back into MIT, but because of her selling of homework to not only MIT students, but to other schools around there, she gets expelled because they have a zero tolerance policy for plagiarism, which goes both ways. If you plagiarize somebody, bad. If you let someone plagiarize your work, also bad. So she's gone. But she takes her suit.
I like how this carries over from Wakanda Forever, where when we were introduced to her, this is literally, she was doing the same thing. She's going around doing homework for other people for money. And, she explains it pretty well throughout these 3 episodes, how this is just what she has to do, right? She doesn't have Stark money, as she puts it multiple times. So Tony Stark grew up, the wealthy family, bunch of money, was able to build anything that he wanted to build because he had the resources to do it. She has an intellectual genius on par with Tony Stark, but she doesn't have the same resources.
Right, and that's what she was trying to get the grants for at MIT. And, well, her hijinks got her booted. I mean, and that happened in the comics too. So so far so good.
And
I wasn't. I didn't think that was out of place at all.
I like the fact
But
that she's not just some billionaire who can just get anything she wants. So she does have to take all alternative methods to kind of achieve those goals. It might get her in a little trouble, as we learn throughout these episodes. But she ends up trying to fly back to Chicago. Unfortunately, she no longer has access to the MIT AI to assist her, and she ends up crashing in
it was
Chicago.
more like a paperclip from Windows.
Right.
But yeah, how I don't even know where is MIT in Boston.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she made it from Boston to Chicago before they even turned off her access, which is pretty
Well,
good.
I'm sorry, Dave, do you think there's like a bunch of tech geniuses at MIT or something?
Why would they turn off her as soon as she got expelled? That wouldn't be turned off.
No, because you know what? They submitted a ticket to the IT department.
All right, yeah, you're probably right.
She's expelled. Please can. Someone was like,
It's like,
I'll get to it.
Go through the records.
I'll get it after lunch. I'm out.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? I take it back. That is probably the most realistic thing to happen in this series.
Yeah. My meatball sub just arrived. It can wait a minute.
Yeah.
But, she's back in Chicago with her mom. You find out she's actually grieving still her stepfather and best friend getting killed in a drive-by. And, I just want to say Dominique Thorne is a really good young actress. She really does a great job. And I want to say facial expressions most of all, just because we watched The Last of Us. And I won't name any names, but there's someone on there who stone-faced the entire time, yes. And I just noticed, I'm like, man, she's doing a really good job. She's good. And I think everybody in here, The Hood, Dominique Thorne, everyone has done a fairly good job acting. I think they got some of the right people in here, so I was pretty happy with that. Even the mom and her gang of friends that were there when they got back all just seemed like they were in. I was happy.
Yeah, the acting's pretty good. There's a few of the things like that they do that you can't blame the actors for. Like I guess it's in the script.
Sometimes the writing can hamper a good acting performance. True.
Speaking of the writing, and again, I do not blame the actors for this. Did you guys notice that almost the entire first episode was like just take a hard right into exposition lane? I mean, they were having the most unnatural conversations. Hey, Riri, do you remember that one time when we did that one very specific thing at that very specific time and you said this conversation and then and it's like, I understand that you have to do certain things sometimes to catch the audience up, but this really feels like you're struggling. Like, we've got so much info to get through, and we only allowed ourselves 6 episodes, so here we go.
Time for your info dump to catch you up.
I counted at least 3 or 4 times that it happened. Like these, I think the only one where it felt somewhat natural, there was a conversation that took place between Riri and her friend in a car when they were sitting outside the shop where her stepfather was killed. That might have been the only time where it seemed normal sounding, but the rest of the times it was very heavy-handed.
Yeah, they needed a character like Doug from Lazarus to narrate everything that we hadn't seen so that we knew what was going on.
Did they, though?
I was a bit worried after the first episode, but thankfully they kind of gave us that information dump, and kind of 2 and 3 got a little better. They started focusing on a little more of the showing rather than telling, which was good.
That is true. Because that was I was worried too. We were watching the first episode and I was like, oh no, I hope the rest aren't like this. And I am thankful that they weren't. I'm thankful that the rest of the episodes definitely were a little bit better.
I was thinking during that first episode, like they were like, we're going to need about $5 million an episode to really do what we want to do. How about we give you 1?
Right.
Okay, we're going to do a lot of talking now.
Right, okay.
We're going to have to rely on acting here. Crap.
Now, we were thinking, you remember how fantastic the puppetry looked on the original Iron Man suit in the first Iron Man film as it almost felt heavy and metallic as the face shield shut closed. Do you think we can, get the same team to, no. Oh, okay. Cool.
They're working on the Mac and Me remake, so they can.
You mean Mac and Cheese? Oh, you didn't watch Friends. Never mind.
No, Mac and Me is a terrible E.T. ripoff that Paul Rudd used to play a clip from every time he was on a talk show.
I remember that. They always said that, yeah, you have something from your new movie, and he would play that.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, he said one time that the reason why he did is because he always felt weird about doing like marketing, going on talk shows and talking about himself, and so he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to make it a big ridiculous thing." And I think it got to the point where other, his management team and the producers and everything, they're like, "Whatever, we can't really count on him to to market his own movies."
Yeah, they were like, well, he can just show up. He'll say something nice, probably.
So we're here to talk about Ant-Man? No.
Yeah, it was a movie I
if you
did.
want.
Do you want to do something fun?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then Riri is recruited by, what is his name? I wrote it down.
Hood?
Oh, not the Hood. He was by his cousin.
Oh, right. The other guy. Which, I know I've seen that kid somewhere before.
He definitely
I do
looks
not know
familiar.
what he's from.
Yeah. But he
You mean
is
the other tech person, Eric Andre?
no,
Not Eric
Rampage.
Andre.
Not Rampage.
The
The other
tall,
guy.
skinny dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the other guy.
cousin
Okay.
who came
Yeah,
the
the card.
recruiter because
Yeah.
Eric Andre kind of blew that heist,
Mhm.
and understandable. But
Yeah.
I love the fact he's like, no, call me Rampage. Oh, we're not calling you that.
We're not calling that.
Riri does.
Yeah, it was
Well,
great.
that's
'cause
the
Riri's
only way
like,
she knew him.
You're right.
That was another exposition dump. Are you talking about Rampage? The same Rampage that I met online on Twitch.com? The Rampage that plays... It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, wow, you know more about him than we do. Anything else?
How do you know so much about him? Well, he's going to die in a future episode, so we need to establish that. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
sorry, spoilers. Spoilers for Ironheart. But the cousin comes to recruit her because they need a tech person, thinks she's going to do good, and invites her to the pizza place where we get the scene from the trailer, which was much better done on this. They did this show no service at all by those trailers. Those trailers made this show look ridiculously bad, and they're not. Even this scene, having seen 90% of it, it was still edited much better, and you get a good sense of, hey, she's a pretty smart girl. She figured this out. It did what it needed to do. And then, of course, she pops in. She handles it a different way than, she's quick on her
They
feet.
instruct
we
her
learned.
to.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's when we get she knows Rampage. We get that whole exposition. But then they invite her, and she's not sure she wants to do it. But the Hood offers her a boatload of cash and an advancement, and they need the armor by the next night, and she doesn't have an AI to control it. So she goes home and she hooks up which I didn't know you could do AI by just hooking up, but she hooks it up,
brainwaves.
and it's going
You
to
can't.
I know. But for this, I suspended my belief a little bit. She is a genius. We'll give her the Tony Stark, Reed Richards,
Yeah.
I also like how they have to add, like, this gets mentioned in a later episode, but they have to add stakes on after the fact, as if now it suddenly matters. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm just jaded from some of this stuff, but when I heard it, I was just like, okay. And what was said was, you allowed a brain scan thing to scan your mind and create your AI. A lesser person, their brain would have melted. Okay, but it didn't happen, so thank you for that info.
I'm glad we knew the stakes prior to you doing this.
Right? I'm just like, okay, first off, you're giving me information in hindsight about something that could have happened over a fake technology. Great.
A word of warning the day after.
Right. By the way, that thing that you already did, you could have died.
Yeah. By the way,
Thanks.
your ears are going to fall off later tonight, okay?
I don't wear sunglasses. It's all right. But because she is still in the grieving process, she creates an AI of Natalie, her best friend, which I was like, okay, I mean, I guess. They set it up enough that I'm like, okay, she's still kind of having these feelings for her stepdad and his best friend that got killed while she was present. I can understand that'll take a while. And I'm like, okay, so the AI is her best friend.
So,
This is an
okay,
AI like we've never seen. Um, I feel like I don't know if they're sticking to a story in canon from the comics where her friend
no,
dies. I don't know,
no, because
but
she had
if
like
they
a
were gonna
Tony Stark AI.
okay, if they were gonna create a Natalie character, they could have just made her a character. They could have just made her alive. From what we've seen on the show, I think she could have just been her friend. I know she still needed an AI, but still the way she acted, not acted, per se, but the way she was written, she could have just been her friend.
Yeah,
I really wish they could have used the Tony Stark AI because that was cool. They, of course, it's a little different here because they had a friendship prior to, you know, Tony dying in the comics. He obviously
right.
came back, but
Mhm.
if they would have established that prior, that she could have had a Tony AI, I think it would have made a little more sense. And I think that's why they leaned on, okay, the AI is going to take place of one of her friends who passed because that's kind of how it was in the comics. Tony was gone, but that AI of him was helping her along.
I assume the reason why they didn't do that is because it would have felt too similar to what happened in the Spider-Man movies. You know, with him giving the Edith glasses to Peter, and then them having their own AI in them. It was probably they're probably thinking, okay, another AI by Tony Stark. No,
Well, no, and that's
but
what I
then
liked
going
about
with
this.
this weird recreating her best friend, and then also on top of that, doing the MCU thing where the name has to turn into an acronym.
Are you
If
talking
it would have
neuro
been
autonomous technical assistant and laboratory intelligence entity?
that is
Who said
exactly
that?
what I'm talking about. Because here's the thing, that would have been fine if, let's say that the AI was in the image of her best friend and her best friend wasn't named Natalie. Let's say that it just looked and it had the personality of her friend, but it didn't know her friend's name. And so then they come up with this, neural, whatever the full name is. What was it again, Keith?
Neural autonomous technical assistant and laboratory intelligence entity.
Right. So they could
Natalie,
have come up with
Natalie.
that. Yeah, they could have come up with that and then just said, but we'll call you Natalie for short. But the fact of the matter is, her friend was already named Natalie, so now it doesn't make sense. Now you're just creating an acronym for funsies.
Yeah, yeah, I can see
Kind of
that.
dumb.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was
And,
a little dumb.
and Kevin Davis says, even if Ironheart and Wonder Man storytelling is decent at best, Disney is in a no-win situation with black representation right now, sad to say. You know, I don't think so. I don't think they're in a bad position. I think Ironheart has been good. I've seen a lot of review bombing because childish adults have nothing better to do than to rate a series terrible before it even airs on TV. So that's going. But, I think a lot of people don't like seeing shows by minorities written by minorities, and they have a problem with that. I don't think the writing is terrible on this show. I have some problems with it, but the latter episode, like the first episode, was pretty weak, and it picked up from there. And I think they did a good job. And they're weaving in these stories. She has her stepfather and her best friend were killed like in a drive-by. She was there. It causes her a lot of stress. We've seen panic attacks. And even weaving in, it's not just, okay, she's going to join the Hoods gang, but we also have, Zeke Stain showing up as part of the story. And they're weaving some things in and out, and so far it's been decent. I hope they continue down those lines and it stays good. So, I don't think I wouldn't say the black representation hasn't been good. I think they're doing a fine job. I think there's just a minority of voices who, if it's any people of color in anything, they're going to try to sabotage it.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You know what I have a problem with is not even the writing on each episode. That's my thing. Is that the crew that she works with, they all seem to be paper thin. You know what I mean? Clown is just a disruptive or something. You know, somebody.
Pyrotechnics.
Yeah, and she's goofy. She grabs the cloak, the hood, and then she gets a little stupid with it. And when I was watching that, I was like, man, that's so dumb. But then I thought, would that happen in the comic? Yeah, it probably would.
Yeah.
It probably would happen in the comic. And she's just, but still, there was a scene later where she was just when they do their heist, when they do their thing, they're just so giddy about it that they're like the mustache twirling villains. And that's the thing that bothers me about it. And the slug, the transvestite.
Yeah.
Or is that right? The right word?
No.
I don't know, but
She's a drag queen.
transgender.
She was on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And it's not the actor.
Yeah.
It's the character is just like they didn't put any depth in that character at all. They just said go and dress up and then just give one line quips throughout the show. And I'm like, come on, you gotta go somewhere you gotta give these characters some depth. Again, make us care about them.
That was my biggest complaint along with you. I'm like, I could care less about the heist crew because they basically had a one-line introduction and that's all they are. Oh.
Yes, and that's all they've been.
They're our muscle, so they fight people, nothing else. Oh, she's our, hacker, so all she does is hack with those super long nails typing, which I was like, can she really type that good like that? I don't think so. But I was with you, Dave. I'm like, they spent no time at all developing those characters at all. And they did a good job with Riri, and they did a good job so far with the Hood, and definitely with Zeke.
I disagree with you. I don't even think they did a very good job with the Hood. I think it was too rushed to give proper motivation and growth to the Hood because I can understand, and I could be wrong because I don't know much about him from the comics, but from this show, it appears like they were trying to set him up, I assume by the name and the heist. It sounds like he's supposed to be like a Robin Hood-esque character where they're pulling these heists to steal from the rich because that's who they're targeting. But then they don't seem to really go into detail about why they're stealing, other than I guess they're keeping it for themselves. I don't really know. They don't seem super clear on it. And the only other thing that we know about Hood is that he made some sort of deal. He's got this magic cloak, and we assume it's a deal with the devil, or Mephisto in this case. But again, we don't really... the first 3 episodes, I know there'll probably be more information, but right now, as of these first 3 episodes, that's it. That's his character. His character is, I'm sort of like Robin Hood, but I don't really have a defined reason for why I'm doing what I'm doing. Also, my cloak is magic.
See, I don't
And his
see...
bag
Go ahead.
is getting more and more scaly. Go ahead, sorry.
I look at it because in the comics, he was always very good at persuading people. I don't think he knew to get Riri, he needed to say, oh, we're robbing from these rich people. I think a lot of it, especially when we find out in that 3rd episode, it was a vendetta against that guy for something that happened in his past. It wasn't because he was rich and he wanted, because he's not Robin Hood. He doesn't take from the rich and give to the poor. He takes from people
that's
and
what I'm
keeps for
saying.
himself.
Like, they're missing that second part, and I don't know what they're doing with the money.
But I think that was him because he was always a master manipulator of other people. He could always convince people to join him. Like he created his own almost Masters of Evil at one time with just a ton of villains to take on the Avengers. And he was always good at that. But the funny thing was, and I noticed, and I put in my notes, in the comics, he did this for his dying mother. She was sick and dying and needed money. And for his wife and unborn child. He basically did these heists. And at first it was just him. And he came upon a demon and ended up killing it. And it was a weaker demon. It wasn't obviously Mephisto or anything. But ended up getting this hood and boots, which I haven't seen the boots in this episode that gave him the ability to kind of float. And then the hood allowed him to hold his breath and turn invisible. And then he got more powers later on as he made a deal. And it looks like, one, that he said his mother died when he was young. So he doesn't have that. It doesn't seem like he has a girlfriend who's pregnant that he's trying to help. They've kind of watered down why he did these things from the comics. Because it was always, you kind of felt bad for him because he felt he had to do it to support his dying mother and his girlfriend, who was always threatening to leave him if he didn't make enough money. Where now, he just seems like he has a vendetta against some rich people and just wants to steal their money.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. Like, the way that his character was described, like on a lot of the articles online, Wikipedia pages, and everything like that, they describe him as almost like a mentor figure to Riri. But at least in these first 3 episodes, I don't see that. I don't see anything redeeming about him. I don't. The character doesn't seem like a stand-up dude or a good guy. He seems like a person that Riri has to work for the time being in order to get the money that she needs to build her suit. But then she also ends up finding out, I believe in the 3rd episode, that, well, yeah, but he'll just turn on her just like he did with Rampage. So
yeah, you can't get out. You'll be killed if you do.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He got to this point in the comics at one point, but he didn't start there. And I think that was kind of a mishap.
That's what I
on
think
their
they're
part.
missing.
Yeah.
And so one of my problems, I guess, with this is it feels so rushed. And I kind of wish they would have given this more episodes. I know that's not what Disney Plus is doing anymore. I know that they're, and not even just Disney Plus, but a lot of streaming services are really streaming down the episode numbers, the episode amounts. And I remember back when you could, an entire season was like 30 plus episodes. And now you're lucky if you're getting 8.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. This show could have used a little more time to let things breathe. Because,
Then they wouldn't have had to do all that exposition dump as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, you write the story first and then decide how many episodes you need, rather than, all right, here you've got 6 episodes. You got to just chop up your story into 6 episodes. No,
That's what I was going to ask, because I hate to admit this, but I do not remember. I know we've been talking about this series ever since we first heard rumors about it. God, way back.
2021.
Yeah, it was a long time ago when we first started hearing about it. And I remember at the time, I thought back then we didn't know whether it was going to be a show or a movie. I don't remember.
No, that was Ironheart was always going to be a series.
It was always going to be a series.
Armor Wars was the one that could be a movie, could be a series. They weren't really sure.
Well, this feels, the way that it was chopped up, it feels like it should have been a movie, or it was shot to be like a movie. And I know that some of the other Disney Plus shows were kind of similar. Like, it feels almost like the way Falcon and the Winter Soldier was shot.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that, where it's more like a movie that they've now chopped up into individual episodes.
And I think you said it in our Slack channel, and this was filmed in 2022. Originally it was going to air in 2023, so it does have a lot of the same qualities of the early MCU shows, where it's not episodic per se. It's like, okay, we're just going to chop this here, here, and here.
Yep.
Which
it doesn't feel natural.
Yeah, which could be why they did 3 episodes this week and 3 episodes next week.
Probably.
Because it flows a little better when you can watch 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the show, we find out they're going to rob that subway underneath Chicago's
the
private
thing
highway.
where it brings your car down and then puts it on it. It sounds like a more technologically advanced version of Elon Musk's stupid Tesla tunnel.
Yes.
It's just a parking garage. That's all it is. It's underground parking garage for cars.
Yeah, I guess.
But
TNNL, of course, because all startup companies have to shorten the name by dropping letters.
Right.
it's tunnel. Can we just take the U? Sure, I don't care. But Riri needs her suit for this job. Natalie is there, but I don't know if she wants to use her. But she provides a list of black arms dealers in the
Black
area.
market.
Yeah, black market buyers. Did you see who one of the names was?
Mm-mm.
Ryan
No.
Airy.
No way.
Yep,
Seriously?
dead serious.
God.
That's not fair.
And, well, just want to know, Heavy Spoilers has made a declaration of war against Screen Crush for this since. So we have joined. I joined us on RB. I joined us in this war against Screen Crush. And
Good.
yes, we march at dawn, gentlemen, just so you know.
Since he
This
stole
is
our
the
what's
war that I
next.
will get behind.
Yes,
Yeah, he stole our what's next, so he's going down.
That's right.
that's right. And Kevin Davis said, do you think Young Avengers will move forward in the MCU? I do. They have changed the name to the Champions instead of Young Avengers, but I think that's definitely moving forward. Now, will Ironheart join that group? I'm thinking she's going to, because we know the magic sort of storyline coming through in the show. I think she might join the Midnight Suns instead, but we could get a post-credit scene in this show with Kamala kind of coming and recruiting her. We'll have to find out. But instead of going to Ryan Airy, she goes to Joe McGillicuddy. Totally not an alias.
Right.
And so she heads out there, and it is our wonderful actor, Aiden something. I can never say his last name, but Solo.
Alden Ehrenreich. Ehrenreich? Something like that.
Sounds about right. But he was wonderful in Solo. He was even better in Oppenheimer. And it was funny because he told a story. He was FaceTiming Robert Downey Jr. when he was offered this role.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, take it, do it. You'll have fun, just make the most of it or whatever. So, of course, to no one's surprise, he turns out he's not Joe McGillicuddy, but we'll get back to that. And basically, Riri kind of blackmails him into taking her to his stash so she can upgrade her suit to get it in working condition for that night's heist. And they have some nice banter when they get there about all the stuff that's in there. And, he's very skittish about touching technology, but he has a lot of ideas for helping people or enhancing people. And she ends up fixing it. She gets the call, and she blasts off back to Chicago to take part in this heist. And of course, she is doing her part. They blow a hole in the cement and she can fly down. I don't think that's exactly how, it works if you blow a hole there, but we're okay. I'm not gonna worry about that.
Suspend your disbelief.
Yes, I did suspend my disbelief after I was initially like, but it was like one of those 30-ton bunker bombs where they drill into the ground to get down there. But she gets down there, and unfortunately, I think my favorite part of this show so far is that Natalie is always trying to scare her. So she pops into the armor, kind of frightening her, and she drops the flash drive.
USB?
Yes, the USB drive that Slug had given her to plug in so she could control the network. But
Now, this, by the way, I do want to give them props for this, because we have been making fun of Lazarus for how they handle the idea of hacking. This, what they're talking about, where you've uploaded a virus into a flash drive that can give you backdoor access into a system, that is realistic hacking. In fact, it's one of the things that, they have warned about for years now about, like, there was a while ago back when I was doing IT for the Army, and, like, the constant reminder was always, you know what, just play it safe, disable the USB drives, disable all the USB drives, all the viruses come from USBs. It's like, well, shit, okay, fine.
well, you know why
Well
that
done.
happened? There was a
Turns out
group,
that doesn't even matter, Doug.
there was ethical hackers who would always try to break into things, and they came across one they could not break into. So you know what they did? They left USB drives like around smoking areas around the building. And
I think I heard about
people
this.
picked it up, plugged it in, boom, they were in. And it was funny because
Yep,
the place was like,
yep.
how did you get in? And they explained the story. They were like, unbelievable. And so it was nice that it wasn't just, oh, let me bash on a keyboard for 30 seconds and then I'll
Right,
get
let me
into
type super fast.
37
It'll get-
hospitals at one time. They're
Right.
Again, okay, good. We've added a little bit more realism in our weird, stupid AI, robot girl thing. But this is good. Okay,
Well,
got a
they
couple good points.
removed that. She
They
drops.
do, but the setup, the premise that they set up was correct, and so I give them kudos for that.
It was nice because Riri had to think on her feet with Natalie, and they worked together and figured out a way to shut off the system for 1.5 seconds, so Slug could get in. They ended up shutting it down, and the Hood shows up in the car with the CEO to Tunnels. I mean TNNL's CEO, and she signs a paper giving him 6-figure, salaries or whatever. I was like, okay, I'm sure that would work.
I don't think that's going to hold
Club
up.
thing.
Yeah.
You know how Fight Club, he beats himself up in the office and they give him the salary just to leave? That's what they're doing there. I bet that's where they got the idea.
And well, the thing is, like, so they had mentioned that before when Riri had asked them, like, what exactly do you guys do? And they're like, a little breaking and entering, a little bit of robbery, a little bit of, what's the word for when you're basically a mobster?
Racketeering.
Racketeer. And he goes, a little bit of racketeering. And I'm like, that was kind of a weird thing to mention. And then you see why. It's like, oh, no, that is literally what they're doing. They're basically offering protection. And then you make us an employee.
Yeah, pay us or we'll do it again.
Right, exactly.
We make enough.
And, okay, maybe that'll work. I still think, again, not trying to add too much realism to my superhero show, but I wonder how they're going to enforce this contract. Because if TNNL doesn't, uphold their side of the bargain, are they going to just threaten violence again? Or what? Are they going to take them to court and be like, they're not upholding this contract? And when was this contract signed? Oh, under duress, extreme duress. We held them at gunpoint.
They had him for one moment. They signed this deal. No way that's going to hold up anywhere.
Exactly. The rest of the board members are going to look at it and be like, we're not doing this.
Hey, HR, we have some new employees. Oh, when will they be here for orientation?
Clown?
Just send them checks. What?
Clown, a hood, a slug. What other names do they have?
And Riri Williams. Here's her social security number.
Yes.
This is the only one we actually have all the info on.
Riri Williams, LLC, and all the other people are under her.
Right.
But we do have some comments on, do you think Sony Pictures will keep Spider-Man Brand New Day in 2026? I believe so. It is.
Unless anything comes up, then yeah, I think so as well.
It seems like the script is ready. They've got actors ready. They're going to start filming here shortly. So I do. And then he says James
Jared
Gunn...
Leto is ready and willing to, advertise for the movie.
Watch it.
Jared Leto was nowhere near.
But then he says, got an ad popping up there. Hold on a sec. Skip it. Then he says James Gunn's Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps will be moderate success at the box office. I don't know about that. I mean, both have sold extremely well pre-sales. Mm-hmm. They did have a screening of Superman last night for a bunch of influencers like Screen Crush, new rock stars, people like that.
Oh, to Screen Crush.
Yes. We'll get you, Ryan Airy. But there hasn't been any official statements. There's an embargo until the 7th. But it seems like the people who went have given positive feedback. So I think Superman's going to do really well. I think Fantastic Four might even do better. As long as they are good movies once they come out. But at least that's what...
Is Not Your Status Quo going to go see Superman at all?
We are. We are actually seeing it early. Tuesday, July 8th. We pulled some strings. We did some things. We were members of Amazon Prime. So we were able to get an early screening on Tuesday, which is kind of awesome.
Wait, that's how you guys got your early tickets?
In contact with James Gunn, so
that is
that going for us.
I don't want to say what I had to do for the tickets.
This is a family show, Doug. Don't even bring that up.
You don't want to see what you did.
But getting back to episode 2, they escape, they get out, but Riri gets out, and a security guard is holding a gun to her, and that kind of glitches the AI because of obviously how she died, which was Riri's understanding of what happened. But I kind of like that. It was kind of like I didn't expect an AI to kind of hold that, but I do think it was more Riri's own
it's
trauma.
sentient. That's a little weird for an AI. I mean, it's basically like this is beyond what, Jarvis or any of the other AI softwares that have been in the suits. This is borderline like what Vision is, essentially.
Yeah.
Just without a physical body yet. But considering she can control the suit on her own.
There was another thing I noticed when she was out there talking to her about what happened, and she's like, what happened? I can see Riri like thinking she's so real that she's talking to her like she's your friend. But I was grateful that she didn't have any information that Riri didn't already have. Because that would have blown it for me. That would have blown the whole show for me. Because there's no way she could create an AI with, stuff she didn't already know. You know what I mean?
And it's funny because I was looking for the same thing. As soon as that happened like that, I'm like, okay, if she goes, oh, well, you didn't see before you walked in that night. They didn't do that. And I was like, okay, good, because she would not have Natalie's actual memories. She would have Riri's memories.
Exactly, yeah.
Of what she thought of her. She can. So, yeah, I was happy with it. But then, of course, the hood ends up blowing or shooting. Gotta watch my verbiage there. Shooting the security guard with the bullet kind of came around, kind of once again showing off his more mystical powers that he didn't have early on in the comics. And of course, he didn't kill him. He just hurt him enough because once again, I think, even though he has no problem killing, which we learn, he didn't want to do it in front of Riri because he knows Riri is
part of the manipulation.
Yes. And so I was like, okay, cool. And then, of course,
that makes sense.
And Riri wouldn't leave anybody to die in a room without any air.
She might if they were trying to kill her. Oh, but we end up. She comes home and her mom is like just giddy over the Natalie AI that she had met, and wondering if she could make an AI Gary. Which she's like, I don't even know where Natalie came from. Which I do think we'll find out it was because of the grieving process and her brain patterns when she was doing it. But then we get into episode 3, We and Danger Girl. They are celebrating early their victory over Tunnel with all of their cash. I don't know why they have, you get a 6-figure salary. You don't get it all up front. But I'm not here to, yell and scream.
Don't overthink. Stop thinking.
Yeah. But they're
switch this off.
And I like that they spent money on a gun to shoot the money out. I would have done the same thing. But while they're celebrating, Clown comes down in the hood. And John is not very happy about it. But Parker shows up and he's just like, oh, it's all good. We're just having fun. Let's all go spend some money, blow off some steam, and we're all good. And I'm like, okay, he's probably deep down pretty pissed off about it. But once again, he doesn't want to show his crew any of that. Because he's got to come off as the, happy-go-lucky kind of guy who, and then he's got his cousin, John, to be the heavy, if you will, which we do see in a little bit later. But they are going after heirloom or heirloom. There's no hidden meanings there. But it's farming technology that forces farmers out of business, according to them.
Right, yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, according to them. Because what they were describing, I'm listening to what this company is doing. I'm like, other than the supposedly putting farmers out of business, this actually sounds like a good idea. The fact that because one of the things they mentioned is they were, I guess, recreating seeds that were no longer from plants that were no longer around. They're kind of bringing them Jurassic Parking seeds.
Yes.
So
they can
that
do
could
that.
Go one of two different ways.
Monsanto, baby.
Monsanto.
Yeah, they own all the grains right now, don't they? They own all the seeds to all the farms that they plant.
Possibly? I don't know.
Yeah. Their
But
own
yeah, but
15
I was
person
listening to the
market.
description and I was like, that sounds okay for the most part. I don't know. I mean, capitalism is going to capitalism, but on its surface, it sounds like a good idea. Bringing back, finding a way to grow all of these fruits and vegetables to hopefully help
Dinosaur
the
corn.
hungry.
And it looked
Yeah.
like they were looking for better ways to grow it with, bigger,
Right.
crops and
That was
stuff like
my
that,
thought.
which would only help. It means, you need less land to produce the food this country
Hmm.
needs. To me, I was like, okay, he's manipulating them again. These guys
Yes,
are going to
yes.
take farmers out because then we see it again. Riri's kind of like, man, I don't know. Am I a bad person? And he's like, anyone who achieves greatness has done questionable things to get it done,
Yeah.
trying to reinforce it with her. And I'm like, okay, there's that
He's
master
not
manipulator again.
wrong.
Yeah.
Because if the first thing that popped into my head in relation to Riri is, well, yeah, I guess he's right because Tony wasn't a good guy either. In fact, that was his entire arc was trying to make up for all of the things that he felt that he did by putting all of these weapons and war into the world. You know, it was almost like he was trying to fix all of the stuff that he had done wrong. So yeah, a lot of these heroes, quote unquote heroes, they've done terrible things. Even Thor, sent down from Asgard because he was pompous and full of himself and had to be taught a lesson, had to live as kind of a mortal. So yeah, I
It's like
agree
the-
with what he said. Hood is correct. He's not a Hood still isn't a good person, and he's
No.
right for the wrong reasons, but he is right.
It's like that scene in Age of Ultron where, Tony and Captain America are outside chopping wood, and he says, "I don't trust anybody who doesn't have a dark side." So everybody's got a dark side. You have some demons that you got to overcome to become the person you are.
Yes.
And each one of them have that. I guess Captain America doesn't. He's always been clean, and
He is worthy.
yes, he's always been worthy.
But Riri comes home and she finds out that Rampage had been killed. And we find out a little bit later that it was exactly as she thought because he was no longer part of the gang. Which, makes her hesitate. Natalie's like, we don't really know anything about him. And she's starting to kind of figure out that this may not be the 3 jobs and out she was promised.
You think?
And she's starting to worry about it. But she comes up with a plan. She wants to cut off part of the cloak from the hood to figure out what's really going on because Natalie had sensed some energy she couldn't quite understand when he was around on the job from last episode. So, well, of course, the cops are home. And they were just kind of like, if you hear anything, let us know. Because she explains, I just gave him a call because he was at a job interview or whatnot. But then Zeke shows up. And she kind of created a monster.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to sell
He grew a pair.
confidence.
And he kind of blackmails her into coming out because he has some. I liked how he was like, he's always like, a second iron stomach. So this won't be bad. But then he says, that mesh that can enhance strength and vulnerability in humans. And I'm like, is he going to start creating like metahumans? Is he going to start selling his tech to create metahumans? Or, here's something I haven't mentioned in a while. Is he going to sell that tech to the power broker? Because we know that loose end is still out there in the MCU. He may hook up with the power broker and be a tech guy in that sense, create armors, create, the biomesh to enhance and help her create mercenaries that are a little stronger than the average mercenary, because that would be pretty profitable for all parties involved.
So I actually have a new theory, and I kind of want to like sweep away all of my former theories that I had about Zeke from our Theory-Palooza, because now my mind has changed on the type of character that I think he is. I believe that he's being set up to essentially be like a Pepper or a Rhodey or something to Riri. I think Zeke is going to turn out to essentially be her sidekick, her confidant, the person that she can rely on to like get her whatever she needs or help her along and essentially be her number two. I
I
don't
am.
think he's actually going to turn in the MCU. I don't think that Zeke is going to end up being evil because he seems really messed up over what his father did.
But he could be.
Also,
He
I
could
like,
definitely
by the
be.
way, that he tells the story and Riri, along with I assume the rest of the people in the world, have no idea what
Yeah,
Obadiah actually did.
that was cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what the
All
rest of the
these
world
years,
has thought.
nobody knew.
And let
That's
me
what they
just say,
thought for the last 17 years. That's the rest of the world thought that for the last
Yeah.
17 years. They
Yeah.
didn't know what happened.
when he's talking, like when she comes over and he has tried to upgrade himself, give himself an upgrade,
Hmm.
which I do think he is going to upgrade himself, and I do think
Hmm.
he is going to turn at some point and be kind of a villain, only because of one line that was said. He's talking about Obadiah and what he did and what really happened. And she said, "You are not your dad unless you choose to be." I think he's going to choose to be his dad. I think her pushing him to stand up for himself and like him going over and cutting those flowers of the lady whose dog pooped on his and they stepped in it. I think
Do
he
you
is
think that was his turn to the dark side?
not necessarily, but I thought it showed his colors a little bit. Like he might, I think by the end of this show, or if they get a second season or when he comes back, he may be a little bit deeper in. Like he might be selling tech for a profit
Hmm.
for himself to help, anyone who's paying for it. And that could be anybody. It could be, I'm trying to think of any, it could be Count Nefaria, it could be anybody. And I think he's slowly going to turn and become a supervillain. But they're not rushing it. They're showing, which once again, I kind of like how he feels terrible about what his dad did. He doesn't want, to be the same person. But
Hmm.
sometimes you are. And you try to hold it back. Sometimes it gets let out. He's going to fall down that same path, I think. But I hope they don't rush. I hope they don't rush into it.
Well, so far it doesn't seem like they are. They are giving it a bit of a slow burn, like you put it, and I kind of wish they would have done the same thing for the Hood as well.
They just wanted him powered up. They when I was watching it and I was laughing because I'm like, oh, they kind of tightened him from the Titan show that was on HBO Max because they were just rushing through storylines. They didn't want him to just be a common criminal who ends up, killing a demon and getting the Hood in the boots. And then he has those powers, so he's better, and he starts moving up the ranks and doing better crimes because he has this magic. And then actually, selling this power to it was Dormammu in the comics, where he got a lot more demonic power from him to do this bidding. And they just wanted. At first I was like, okay, is the Hood even have any powers, or is he just some weirdo who likes to wear it? And then we find out he does, does have those powers. We thought, but they did. They just wanted him to be the Hood from New Avengers, and not the Hood
Yeah.
from
They're speeding through his
Yep.
story, unfortunately.
which
I
is.
wish they had.
I agree, sir. I definitely agree. But
If he was going to be a character in this, I feel like when they first decided that he was going to exist in the MCU, there should have been at least a little bit of buildup, even if it's like on a newspaper clipping on Miss Marvel's wall or something, or, we hear about him somewhere else from something else that, oh, this guy known as the Hood is him and his crew are holding up tech companies or something like that.
yeah, or we just get a montage of some things like, and maybe we will.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance that at some point,
Oh,
he's-
flashback episode?
yeah, he may give. God, not an episode. Don't do entire episodes of flashback. But we may find out in some flashbacks about his rise to power because he does seem fully along his path in the show than he was in the thing. But hopefully it's not. But of course, with all of the stuff that Zeke was working on, Riri ends up stealing the bio mesh skin so she can keep a laser torch on her because no metal can be used at this heirloom site. And they a little shenanigan, subterfuge on her part. She ends up having Natalie controlling the suit, doing the flybys, checking for guards, doing all the, scouting of the place so they can show up.
I would have taken this opportunity, and again, this is now just speaking in hindsight, but I would have taken this opportunity to pull an Iron Man 3. One of my favorite scenes from Iron Man 3 was watching Tony not able to get access to his suit, but having to rely on his own intelligence to figure out other ways to break into this mansion to stop the bad guy. So he's like using spray paint cans, and he's using like a lighter and whatever other little gizmos he can kind of like craft together. But again, he doesn't have any of his Iron Man gear. He just has to like MacGyver it. And I kind of wish they would have let Riri do that instead of this, ex machina kind of thing where they've got to, I have to get this bio skin layer thing to put over my suit. It's like, okay. It's like you're inventing an easy solution for the problem you didn't need to make. You invented this problem that the only way into Heirloom is without anything metallic, and you can't have metal. You doing Terminator time travel, I guess. And so we've got to put the biomesh over it. When you could have used this opportunity to, she can't use her suit and she's got to find another way in.
And it was funny because I did like the part that she was kind of working with Zeke to better things up. But I agree with you, because the whole time I'm thinking, she's taking a torch in there to cut off a piece of the Hood's cape?
Yeah.
Couldn't she take plastic scissors? I was like, okay, I'm not, once again, Riri's going to Riri. But I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There was better ways around it. But I did like the fact that Natalie was controlling the suit, and she was sneaking in underwater to kind of get in there and see. So she needed to see who the Hood really was, because without knowing that she was there, he showed his true colors. And I think she saw it. And, then obviously... Whoa. you just Natalie'd me. But she was there, he didn't know it, and she saw who he was. And then obviously when she ran into John, and he pretty much thinking he was going to kill her, was like, yeah, we took care of Rampage. We don't leave loose ends, and you just became a loose end. But I did. I was laughing when he's like, what's going on? She's like, it's filling with CO2, you idiot.
Yeah. We're suffocating, you idiot.
Yeah, that's what we're suffocating.
And that's the part. Is she going to be able to forgive herself for that? Because I think at the end of the show, that's one of the things she was upset about.
Okay, we got some comments on YouTube I just want to read. It's from Ragnar. Hello. What is you talking about? Which gang you reppin'? O Block? And I said, we have no gang membership. And he said, so you roll the streets without gang? We do move about town without a gang, yes. You might get your chain took. Okay. I hope to not lose my chain, but that's always a possibility. And it says, dude on left looked like he in a gang, a biker gang.
That's Doug.
Yeah, that is Doug. Doug, you look like you're in a biker gang, dude. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Keith, do you know Ragnar?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
This is not someone I know. I'm like,
Oddly enough,
yeah.
It seems like the way you talk to your crew.
Which sometimes I definitely do, but I do not know who Ragnar is. But yes, no gang affiliation with us. We're not in any biker gangs.
Okay.
Thank you for making this stream memorable, Ragnar.
Right. We could be wild.
I didn't know that
my geriatric bike riders or.
I didn't know my Thor shirt screamed biker gang.
I think it's the clean haircut and beard.
Oh, okay.
But he didn't see the Ecto 1, like license plate behind you or the Ghostbusters stuff.
You mean my nerd shrine?
Yes.
You didn't see the giant comic book rack?
Which I'm gonna say, I'd much rather be mistaken for biker gang members than boomers. Because once again, we're not boomers. We're 2 Gen X and a millennial. Don't call us boomers.
Yeah, we can boom nothing.
That's right. But, she sneaks in that laser gun to cut instead of the plastic scissors. I said I was going to stop talking about that. She did what she did. But it ends up setting off the metal detector into place because, she's just doing it a little longer than she should have. But she does get the piece of the hood.
Seemed like it took thanks. It seemed like it took all right, we won't go over that. It seemed like it took her a long time just to get that little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe you guys discussed that when I was helping Sierra there, but
all of this for a drop of blood.
Yeah, it was what? Okay.
But she gets it. She escapes. I don't know why she didn't go out the same way she came in because that didn't seem to be locked down. But she started crawling through some of the air ducts, and she sends Natalie in the Ironheart armor to kind of rescue the other people. And then, of course, she runs into John. They have the fight that we were talking about. And it ends up Natalie comes in at the last minute, saves Riri, and she leaves John there to die. And obviously, Parker, the Hood, is upset because John's not there. That's his cousin. That's his heavy in the gang. That's his buddy. And ends up sending Riri to do some reconnaissance to find out. She says, yeah, he's still in one of the greenhouses and he's not moving. And so he is kind of in a grieving process, and he's in his room, which is, I don't know if we're going to find out, it's kind of a shrine to whatever power he's been feeding off of and promising things. And I think hopefully that's why we find out that's why he's doing these heists, is because he's being told to for this power. We'll find out.
That's what I assumed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He basically sees a vision that Ironheart killed his cousin. End scene.
I can't imagine that Mephisto's after money. So I don't know why they again, I know there's still 3 more episodes. So, I'm being a little over judgmental, but it just God, it feels like so little has been explained. And it's
Yep.
Hey, what's up,
how's
Sierra?
it going? It just
Please
It
tell me she has
feels
not
like-
watched Lazarus.
You haven't watched Lazarus, have you?
No, not
good.
yet.
You're not missing much.
Don't.
Well, no, don't. You don't need to.
Yeah, I wanted to. It looked like
Yeah, we
Cowboy
wanted
Bebop.
to too, and then we did.
It's by the guy who did Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah.
and it's not that same level of quality at all.
No,
Well, that's a damn shame.
it is.
But Ironheart, you should give a chance.
I'll give it a chance because it's Ryan Cooper.
Well, I don't know how big a role he's got in it. He's the executive
he's-
producer.
Well, yeah. Well, he's the producer. Well, all right.
All right. Give me a hug.
Aww,
Aw.
so sweet.
Wow.
All right, I'll see you later. Love you.
It's a family channel.
Bye.
Oh, did you want those tunas or can I take them?
No, take them. Get them out of here. But I need the rice. There's something in the rice right now. All right. Sorry, guys. Something got soaked and it had to dry out. That's all that's in the rice, okay? Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Interesting.
This is me not worrying about it.
Is it some sort of biotech you're trying to implant in your arm, David? Some weird
That's your real name.
biker gang initiation you're starting?
Biker gang initiation.
The Mighty Thor biker gang, yes.
The mighty Thor. Oh, that'd be kind of sick.
We already got Jack.
We need to start this.
All of a sudden, the small town local store owner, he comes out. Oh no, it's the mighty Thors. They're riding up. Hurry, lock down the doors, close the windows. The
sound
bar
like
is
Jeff.
quickly
You sound
emptying
like-
out. They're wiping off the counter. We ain't got nothing for you mighty Thors.
You sound like Jeff from Family Guy.
Oh no! Oh no, some thorns!
It's the mighty Thors.
God.
But I'm sorry to interrupt. Back to you, Doug. What were you saying?
Oh no, what was I saying? So we were, oh, that's right. So we were talking about how it seems like they're leaving out a lot of information, and I know we still have 3 more episodes, so of course, there's still more story that will be told. So I'm sure we'll probably find out more, but it again, it has the feeling like a lot of info was left on the cutting room floor that could have been, assisted by just a few more episodes. Because again, Hood's motivations just do not appear clear to me at all. Anything, just nothing about him seems clear. So I almost feel like, as much as I would hate this, at this point, I almost feel like we need a whole ass flashback episode just to understand, why is he doing what he's doing? Why does this guy have to put tattoos on his back?
We need flashback scenes, not episodes.
Yes.
We need something.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Because
even if they make half the episode the flashback, like when they show why he's about to do what he's going to do, that's acceptable. I can do
Sure,
that.
yeah. Yeah, that's fine too. I need something. I need more to go off of, because otherwise the only thing that we know is, okay, he's got a magic cape. He's not a good guy. We know that, and he's manipulative, and he needs to have his cousin or brother, whoever that guy is, tattoo his back. And it kind of looks like they're tattooing magic circles, I think. But I don't exactly know, like, I don't understand what's growing on him. It looks like, they called him scales, but it just looked like ink veins to me.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't look like scales to me.
No, I didn't notice scales. I was looking. Maybe my eyesight isn't all that great, but I didn't see scales.
I did like when she's like, I don't think he's a lizard man, but, he has, he's a little dry.
But
He's a little
theory
more
about the cape, by the way. And it's inconsequential. It's just a little theory that was kind of popping in my head. I wonder if when Riri does get a piece of the hood, what did she leave behind? She left behind the bio stuff that could be traced back to Zeke. I know that much, but did she actually get a piece of the cloak?
She did.
Yes.
She did. Okay. How much you want to bet, apart from the physical, the entire outfit, it has no power? Like, I bet you any money if you cut off a piece of it, it actually has nothing in it.
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I expected it to grow back, too. Like, after it...
Oh, yeah, I could see that, too. Yeah, totally.
It's going to be enchanted with Mysterium. And that's where she's going to get the metal that will deflect the magic from her suit.
But she doesn't want to deflect magic, because she's going to put magic into her suit, if we believe the trailers.
Hey, I'm always right. We're always right.
We're always right. That's right. That's a good point.
The thread of the cloak was weaved with unobtainium.
All right, Doug, that's it. Stop that. You stop that right now.
She couldn't get it either. She just couldn't get it. It was unobtained. Can't get it anywhere else. Sorry, I'm letting the ads play.
No, that's... I'm just... I think really what's next, I think we're going to find a little bit more out about this deal that Parker has made with whatever demon he is, made it with. And fellow nerd Doug, did you just follow us at Tiered 1? Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. 36 months. Excellent streak. We appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. Would you like to join a biker gang?
I would.
We've got jackets and cookies.
Woo!
We are set. But, I think we're going to find out a little bit more about his deal, obviously, with the end. He's supplying thing. I think he's going to come after Riri. And I don't know if that is going, if the gang, the heist gang, is going to splinter a little bit. Because it seems like Clown and maybe some of the others might side with Riri in this and figure out that, hey, this guy isn't all good. She may have some proof. Well, she knows he killed a bunch of guards at the heirloom place, so he knows she killed John. She knows he's a cold-blooded killer and not the happy-go-lucky good guy that he's kind of posed. He's definitely not a Robin Hood. So whatever orders he's getting from whatever demon is giving him powers, I think that's going to kind of unfold in the next couple episodes. And I think we're going to see, and I'm glad you mentioned the biotech being left behind, because that was Zeke's one thing. Don't let him trace it back to me, because they're probably going to come down on him hard. And that could be the last little push to put him into supervillaindom.
I was thinking about that after. That's what reminded me that had happened. When you said that, there was probably going to be something that would push him over the edge. And I was like, oh, that's right. She did the one thing he didn't want her to do. And they did make sure at the end of the episode to kind of flash back to the lab and remind the audience, oh, she did a boo-boo. Okay.
Yeah, someone was like picking it up with tweezers. I was like, oh no. Yep. Good guy Zeke is going to be gone, and we're going to get Ezekiel Stain from the comics here.
Now, how long before he loses his hair and grows a beard? And
He got a beard.
4 episodes.
Longer beard.
We'll see. You know, the Thing has a beard in the latest Fantastic Four trailer. So, you know, everyone's growing a beard these days. But, you know, once again, you know, we kind of talked about it when we were doing the trailer breakdown for the show. The trailer was not good. Like, I came in thinking, oh, here we go. I got 3 episodes I got to watch. And then I watched the first one, and I was like, okay, a lot of talking, but not bad. And then each episode went by. I'm like, there's little problems here and there with things that happen. But, yeah, I'm enjoying it. It is very much like the older MCU shows because it was filmed so long ago. Yeah. But it's decent. I mean, we've gotten Echo, which we were worried about, but we liked the trailer for Echo. And then the fact they were dumping all 6 episodes all at once was kind of weird.
It was worrisome.
But then it was good. And then Agatha All Along came along, and I think all of us were... What?
They're just cashing in on the singing thing.
Yeah. But then we saw the trailer, and the trailer was a little darker, and the episodes were good. And now we get Ironheart, and it's, you know, a little better than I thought thought it would be, which isn't a glowing endorsement. But I wish, you know, I do hope we get past this multiversal stuff, and we get back, and they can have multiple plot threads going on at once. Just have them intertwine a little better, and don't jump all over the place with stories, and have some continuity, I think, is what we're looking for.
Yes. And please, if you're going to make a TV show, please make it the length of a normal TV show, for the love of God. Give it extra episodes. It's a series. Please make it feel like a TV series. You're Marvel and you're Disney. You cannot pretend like you don't have money. You've got money. You've got a lot of money. Put a little up the budget a little bit more, because here's the thing. You can't just put out stuff to say that you put out stuff.
Yeah.
It's still got to be quality. I mean, I hate to keep, going back to this, but one thing that James Gunn has mentioned is they're not going to announce anything unless they've got a script and the script is good. And then they're not going to go forward with anything until then. And they've already been willing to scrap a couple of things that just aren't working out, at least as of right now. And, Disney, they've gotten to the point where they're almost too big for their own good. And they feel like they have to keep putting things out, whether it's quality or not, just to say that they put something out.
Yeah, because I heard about the Doomsday movie is that they actually the reason it got delayed was they actually started to film things without having a complete script. And they said, wait a minute, hold on, let's get the script done. And then that was a good move. Yeah. And I trust the Russo brothers, but that seemed like you're just making the same mistake you have been making. Please stop.
Well, when we first heard too, I was laughing because we heard, oh, they're starting filming, but the script isn't done. and then I can't remember who it is, and they were like, "Oh, don't worry about the script not being done, because they're still signing people to star in the movie," and so they may. I'm like, "That's not any better.
Yeah, that's even worse.
That's worse.
You're filming and you don't know everyone who's in the movie at this point."
We don't have all the actors that are going to be in it yet.
I think that person thought that'd be a calming effect for the. I'm like, that's not good, dude. That is not a good sign. But Dave's right. Delay it. Delay Secret Wars. Get things right, because I think we've seen. Ironheart was filmed in the older sort of MCU television model. We've seen Daredevil Born Again season 1, which was overhauled, changed to kind of fit a TV thing.
I'm so glad it was overhauled.
And it was much better. So I'm hoping they go back to that. They know how to make television shows. They've been making TV for maybe not hundreds of years, but they've been making it for decades. Do what you know for TV shows and don't try to make it mini movies.
Yeah, if Doug said like the length of the show, I assume you mean by episodes.
Episode length, yes. The amount of episodes, that's what I mean. I see, one of the things is I don't mind if the episodes themselves are longer or shorter, because we talked about this with The Mandalorian. As long as you're telling the story that you need to tell, and it's as long as you need it to be, fine. But I'm saying don't be afraid to have a few extra episodes. 6 episodes is really short for a TV series. It's grossly short. You're doing a disservice. You're going to introduce all of these characters, for a movie where you're only introducing us to 4 main characters, maybe at most. Fine. It only needs to be 2 hours, 2.5 hours. This, you're introducing us to 2 potential bad guys, an entire crew of people, your Riri Williams and her family and their extended friends, and you're only giving us 6 episodes to learn everything we need to know about all these people and their backstories and motivations.
Yeah, but also, make just because you're adding episodes doesn't mean it has to be filler,
Right, yeah.
If you're doing backgrounds on these characters to give them more depth,
it can be
that'll fill
natural.
out the episode.
You could even have had an episode before Riri joins the heist gang, so you get a little more personality out of them. You get a little better understanding of what they mean to each other and stuff. But
no, that's what Wakanda Forever was.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the crew, it would have been nice to see them interact. I mean, more than we did with that one failed heist. You know what I mean? And that the only reason they showed the failed heist was so they could get rid of Eric, Rampage.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have got into the group if he didn't know what he was doing. So they made him look like a total buffoon.
He had worked for them for a while, so he messed up one job doesn't mean you're terrible at it or what. Things change. But yeah. But should we rate these episodes, gentlemen?
Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll start to keep tradition. Like I said, the storyline isn't what's bothering me. I like where the story's going. It's not what's bothering me is the background characters having zero depth, paper thin, and just saying what some kook would say in a comic book. It's a TV show. Let's add some depth. I mean, you can enjoy it in a comic. In comics, they do go more in depth, with characters because they got all the space they need to do it. I think they are foreshadowing towards. Obviously, we all think Mephisto, and we know he's. Do we know for sure he's going to be on here?
No,
I think
there's been no confirmation yet. A lot of speculation.
We all on that way. That's what's next for us. I don't know. Other than that, it was like I didn't have any phone moments on this show.
Oh, that's good.
It did turn out better than I expected from the preview. I don't really have any much more to say because we've already covered so much. But I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not gonna get too high on it, and it's not gonna be a 6.5 Tundra Walker. It's actually gonna be a 5.5. I didn't love it. I would watch it again, But the little things that we talked about, like those are what's giving me a little pause. So I hope that maybe there's a little more development, like Doug was saying, like the Hood's motivations on the next 3 episodes. But we'll see. So 5.5 for me.
Nice. Yeah, and I think there's some good things on this show. I like what they're doing with Zeke. I like what they're doing with Riri, and they're kind of intertwining some stories together. Seems to be good. I like the acting for most of the people. I think they're doing a fine job. I think some of the tech and everything looks good. It's a little more grounded in certain areas, so I'm digging it. I'm digging those parts. But like Dave said, they've got so many one-dimensional characters just there to move the plot forward. I'm just struggling to understand why they didn't add more episodes to add a little more depth to everybody to make everything seem a little more well-rounded. I'm enjoying the music. For the most part, I am enjoying the show. I think the first episode was the weakest of the 3, and it's gotten better and better. And I'm going to give the first 3 episodes a 6.2. Definitely better than average, but it's definitely not a great show.
I had mentioned when over in our Slack chat that I was kind of pleasantly surprised, and I said that in regards to how disappointing the trailers were. But there were a couple of things in these 3 episodes that I was really pleasantly surprised with. I thought was done really well. So we're talking about some of the during our Theory-Palooza and in other streams, we were talking about some of the things that we want to see more of out of these is the acceptance of some of the more goofier comic book elements. Like, go ahead and accept the weirdness. And there were a couple of moments where they did just that. I think one of my favorite parts about these episodes, and kind of goes by without you really noticing it, but when they put on the Ironheart title, it was always part of the scenery. It might be like, spray painted on a wall or built into the metal of like a bike rack or something. It was always in a place where the title was part of the scenery. And I liked that. That was very comic booky. It felt like when you're flipping through the pages of a comic book and then, they've got the title or the title of the story somewhere in the background. And I was like, okay, all right, that's cool. This is nice. You are embracing your comic book weirdness, and I need them to do more of that. The first episode, very similar feelings as Keith. It was a lot of talking going on. It was mostly a lot of monologuing, a lot of talking about things that the characters should have already known, but the audience doesn't know, so they've got to have these unnatural conversations to relay this information. And again, that could have been solved with just giving us more episodes. Instead, you've got to cram all of this exposition into the first episode. And I think it kind of hurt because of that. So, first episode, not great, but then the second episode started to get better. Okay, now we're learning a bit more about these characters. And I'll even take back something that I had originally said was, one of the things I didn't like about the trailers. In our Theory-Palooza, I had mentioned that I did not like the way that the Ironheart suit looked in Wakanda Forever, nor did I like the way that it looked in some of these trailers. Now that we have a better understanding of Riri's situation, and the fact that literally her suits are made with whatever spare junk she can get. In fact, in the first episode, before she gets her black market thing, she goes to a junk dealer, and she's getting like spare car parts and things, and that's what she's been using to build these suits. Whatever parts she can come across, whether it's like, some engine parts and fuses from a car or pieces from a lawnmower or something. It's always whatever she can get her hands on, whatever she can afford, and that's how she's assembling her suit. So now I am willing to reel some of that back in. I'm taking some of it back. Yes, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. It allowed me to borrow your reel. But yeah, I admit I was wrong about that. There is a reason, there is a story-based reason for why her suit looks shitty. So hopefully now that she's getting more money coming in, we'll start to see a more comic book accurate suit. But yeah, a lot of this stuff felt very rushed. A lot of the crew felt kind of one-dimensional, but on the plus side, they are not nearly as annoying as I thought they would be. I truly, truly thought that they were going to be one of the most irritating parts of the show, and so far they're not. They're fine. They're there. They're kind of in the background. They don't really, believe it or not, the crew doesn't do that much. Like they're barely on screen. And again, they don't really have, even Dave pointed this out, they don't have a lot of characterization to them. Like their personalities are paper thin, as Dave put it. So that could use more work. Again, more episodes could have solved this problem. But they're not annoying, so that's good. I think the Hood is the worst character so far, just because we know so little about him, and it feels like a J.J. Abrams style character. They've created this giant mystery box, and I am hoping they answer our questions, but at the same time, I'm just kind of getting annoyed. Like, there's so much unknown that I'm at the point where, like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. Just get on with the show. He's bad. He's evil. Whatever. We're gonna steal from these rich people. Or are you gonna give them the port? No. I need to buy tattoo ink.
As long as there's no follow-up questions, yes, we will definitely be giving it to the poor.
Follow-up question: who are you giving it to that is poor?
Me.
Yeah.
I'm poor.
This guy.
I am the poor. So, you know, a lot of it's very similar to some of my complaints about Lazarus, where a lot of the issues with that show are issues that the creators themselves made. They created the problem, but they didn't think of what the solution would be to get out of it. And I feel like they're doing this with Ironheart, where they've generated these problems, and then they don't quite know how to get out of the problem that they themselves made, so they come up with, like, a crappy solution. It's like, okay, we need Zeke to potentially become a bad guy, maybe. We don't know if that's going to happen yet. So we've got to create a situation where he's going to be mad at Riri. Okay. Here, and it's like they're working backwards from there. All right. So we need him to do this. What are we going to do to make that happen? Oh, I know. Riri has to use her suit to break into this plant factory. And, oh, but metal isn't allowed, and her suit is made of metal, and so therefore she needs to go to Zeke to get this fake skin to put over it. Gross, but whatever. So she's got to put this fake skin on in order to get in and leave the fake skin, so it gets traced back to him, the one thing he told her not to do. Cool. We've invented the problem that didn't need to exist in order to find this dumb solution to create another problem. Again, you're overcomplicating it, guys. You know, this is Marvel. It's a comic books show. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do this to yourselves. Like, tone it back, man. Just like chill. You're doing some good stuff. You're adding a little bit of realism, and then you go kind of wild with it. On one hand, you got hacking down. That's great. You figured that out right. But then we're going to create an AI with a brain scan. Okay. And then that AI happens to be in the format of her former best friend that passed away. Sure. Okay. Oh, but now we also need to do the fun thing like we do in Marvel movies where we have to give an acronym to... But that's her name. You don't have to do that. You don't have to check off every Marvel TV show checkbox. It's fine. So, yeah, overall the show is fine. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. So, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. Hopefully it gets better. But right now, it's just like, it's fine. It's just slightly better than average. Again, the only character that I guess I like right now is Riri, and then second would be Zeke. Everybody else, they're there. They exist. So, but yeah, don't believe the review bombs. It's not as bad as they're saying. Excuse me. It's not as bad as they're saying. It's a decent show, okay? Especially compared to what we've been watching. This is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I will gladly watch this over Lazarus any day of the week. So,
It's like we're always the stabilizing force. I don't know what the word I'm looking for in the room is as far as those reviews go. There's always people
We're
giving it
providing
bad
the
reviews.
balance.
Yeah, we're always having to say, hey, listen, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
These people are just haters.
And the thing
You know,
is, like, when we criticize, at least this is my opinion, when we criticize something, we give legitimate reasons to back it up. Like, it is good, good enough. It's decent. It just needed a bit more work. And I know it's old.
Well,
I
and it
know
was
it's been
funny
filmed
because
a while ago.
Doug, when I was watching the third episode, and I'm like, why does she needs a blowtorch? She can just take
Yeah.
plastic scissors. This makes no. And then,
Thank you.
oh, it's so she can leave it behind. Okay,
Yeah.
now I got you.
Exactly. So they invented a problem that didn't need to, like, because someone of her intellect would have figured that out. So they had to make her dumb for a little bit, and I hope they don't keep doing that. They're going to keep doing that, aren't they? They're going to make her
Probably.
dumb for a little bit in order to make her do stupid things. Okay. Wow. I created like the worst possible theory.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm
I
wrong.
hope she's over it too.
Don't
but
do
yeah.
this, Marvel. But you know what? I am looking forward to the next 3 episodes. I do want to see more. Like Dave, I also didn't have any really any phone moments. I was invested. I was watching it. But because of the trailers, this wasn't one of those shows where that night when it dropped, I was not in a rush to go see it because I'm thinking, based on the trailers, I'm like, I am not that excited. I'll wait until I have to watch it because I have to watch it for the channel. So the next day, I went into my lunch break, watched them, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is watchable.
but still, are you holding your breath for next week?
No, I'm not holding my breath, no. No, but
See,
I mean,
I'm not holding my breath, but I do think when it drops at like 9 o'clock, I may start watching it because
Yeah,
I am
I might
interested in
too.
what's going to happen. Where,
Yeah,
like
same.
Doug, Tuesday night at 9, I wasn't tuning it on. I was doing stuff with the fam, and I'm like, I'll catch it later.
it can wait.
I'll see it. I have to see it by Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
And that was what really motivated me. And then I just like Doug, I started watching. I'm like, okay, this ain't too bad. This is all right.
You know what I haven't watched yet?
Lazarus episode 12.
Lazarus.
Nor have I.
I'll get to it eventually.
I've
Get to
been
it by
debating whether I should watch it
Monday.
before episode 13 comes out, or just like rip off the Band-Aid and watch them both at the same time instead of
That's what I think
ruining
I'm
2
gonna do.
days.
Yeah.
Just ruin one day.
Keith,
That's
you're-
what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to just do both episodes in one sitting.
we
Because
don't
if
go on until Monday at 8 p.m., so you can watch it Monday at 6.
Yeah,
That's what I'm probably going to wait until Monday, in all honesty.
Especially 'cause I'm
I mean, you
gonna
can already
be-
see our excitement for that show.
I'm going to be at the splash park, so yeah, I doubt I will watch it prior to like Monday morning.
Keith, you can pull out your phone and you can watch it. You need to show some dedication. Yeah, he's finished. I'm sorry. It's such a terrible show.
If this was a TV show, it would pan to me Sunday night with my phone at everyone's swimming around me and having fun, and I'm like,
What just happened? They saved everyone. No way.
I didn't
No
think
way they saved everyone.
I didn't think they could do anything to make this worthwhile, but damn, they did it. They pulled it off. Greatest anime in the history of anime. But are you guys ready for some MCU news and rumors?
Ooh, yeah.
Let's change that picture.
Actually, this is pretty much all I did. Did I send
Oh,
it
okay.
over?
Sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Remember
no worries.
delay, Dave.
No, it's always good because I'm like, wait, did I? I better check. So, this is almost all news, but kind of. So, Mashallah Ali was asked about when they will start filming Blade. And he said, call Marvel, let them know I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, that does not seem like it's anywhere close to pre production at this point. Because he would know when they were shooting or anything else if he would not say, call Marvel, let him know I'm ready.
Is he still involved in the script?
Not that I know of. And this was during the Jurassic World Rebirth, like premiere press sort of stuff. So
Is he in that movie, or is he just supporting ScarJo?
he's in that movie. And then here's some kind of disappointing news, in my opinion. Disney's latest press release for the Fantastic Four First Steps no longer lists John Malkovich as part of the cast. So it sounds like his scenes may have been cut from the movie.
Huh.
Or it was a typo and they just forgot to add him because they didn't want to reveal he's playing Red Ghost or whatever character he might be playing. But he was there on previous ones and he's gone now. So it sounds like possibly his scenes were cut. But we'll know in a few weeks when we go see Fantastic Four First Steps.
Is that less than a month? Or is that a month from today? That's a month from
It's
yesterday.
like a month from 2 days ago. We see it on the 24th, I believe. And now some good news.
Ooh.
The Punisher special presentation will begin filming mid-July until August.
Okay. Nice.
And it'll be in New York City.
I honestly wish it was more than just a special presentation. I would love to get the series to come back, like Daredevil, because that's been proven to be good. It turns out people like it, and I think a lot of people also liked the Punisher show on Netflix as well. So I'd like to see that be reborn on Disney Plus.
And I wonder
Like
if
doesn't
Punisher
like it.
Retribution or Punisher Vengeance Hour or something. I don't know.
I mean, who doesn't like a no-nonsense hero?
Yeah.
He put up with any crap, just gets right to the point.
Plus, the version of him that was in Daredevil Born Again, where he's like even more psycho and like has lost his mind living in a sewer tunnel. Dude, get that man on the streets. This is gonna be
Yes.
hilarious. I can't wait to see him in Spider-Man. It's gonna be weird, man.
and I really do hope that special presentation, the movie, that they are working on a Punisher series post Spider-Man, Brand New Day,
That'd be nice.
because I think it would do quite the good numbers over at Disney Plus, because the Punisher show on Netflix was phenomenal. John Barenthal plays the role tremendously. Give him multiple seasons. We would all tune in. Give him movies. We don't care. Just keep making Punisher content.
Keep punishing.
I can already imagine, like, I know this won't actually be in the movie, but I can imagine Spider-Man working with Punisher. I'm like, all right, man, you're the more senior hero. I trust you. You go and you handle Doc Ock and Scorpion. I'll take care of Rhino. Okay, great. So Spider-Man's fighting Rhino. Punisher comes back. All right, I'm done. What? How? What do you mean? How? I shot them both.
Did you turn him over to the police? I killed him.
I don't do that.
Parts of them over to the police.
Yeah.
He's a lot like Peacemaker. He's not like that candy ass Batman who keeps putting his villains in jail so they can escape. How many deaths do you think are on Batman's hands?
tosses Spider-Man a gun. Here, you need one?
Man, it's just
Whoa, hey, man.
conversation.
I want to see Spider-Man like web up one of his guns. You can't kill people, and then he just takes like the gun web to his hand and starts beating a dude with it.
Right, exactly. He's a
Frank,
violent
Punisher,
psychopath.
what are you doing? Shut up, kid.
Maybe you don't know
Thanks
my
for the
backstory.
blunt weapon,
kid.
Spides.
Maybe we're not the best team.
Oh, Lord.
You should go hang out with Red. Who the heck is Red? That Daredevil guy. Oh, I would like to hang out with him.
I can handle him.
Punisher and Deadpool would be a good duo.
Oh my gosh, there wouldn't be anybody left.
No.
They would definitely be counting the bodies. A little slow, Frank. I counted. I had about 6 more than you. You missed the 10 behind the other side of the building.
They're gonna call up all of the Marvel heroes and be like, okay, so your rogues gallery, we got this guy, this guy, this guy, this. Anyone left? No, no, that's all of them. Great. Okay.
Well, now what are we gonna do?
I hope some
Killed
new
everybody.
supervillains come along. What am I gonna do with all my time?
Ant-Man's like, shoot, I wonder if I can get my job back at Baskin Robbins.
They always
No.
find out.
You cannot.
Well,
That's all the rumors.
that's all. That's all the news that's fit to print.
Well, there is one thing that I would like to share, if it's all right with you, gentlemen.
Of course, sir.
Share it.
So, unfortunately, a member of my family got a little bit of devastating news. It's rough, it's really broken us all up. Fortunately, my cousin's husband found out that he's got esophageal cancer. There is a treatment plan, though, thankfully, but we also live in the United States where healthcare is way overpriced. There is no universal healthcare plan, and also now some of these hospitals are charging upfront fees. So, if you are able to, those of you that are out there watching us, if you are able to help in any way, I'm going to put the link in both chats. I'm going to put it in Twitch and in YouTube. And if you're able to help in any way, I know it's hard out there. Trust me, I'm feeling it too. But yeah, if you're able to help in any way, they would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. And yes, thank you. Help out a fellow nerd. They are also fellow nerds.
Not Your Status Quo is definitely going to help out as much as we can. That's we live in a world where you have to pay up front to get medical treatment. It's scary.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Everyone goes through it. Help how much you can. Pay it forward if it ever happens. Other people will definitely be there. We're very sorry to hear this, and we hope he meets his goal and has a speedy recovery.
I do too. Thank you.
Now let's find somebody to raid.
Sounds good. Let's see. Who do we have in our list? It looks like Tiny Velker just started up a stream. She only has 8 folks. A-Tray is on. Let's see here. We've got Macaw is on. C.W. Devarian. We've got... Looks like Critical Role is on, but I don't believe they've ever noticed whenever we join, so...
I don't think they have either.
What do you guys think about Tiny Velker?
Let's do it.
Only 8 folks?
Yeah, that's fine. Dead by Daylight.
Okay, all right.
Slayus' favorite game.
Yeah. All right, so all you wonderful folks out there, what we are getting ready to do is we're going to raid another channel on Twitch. It's a nice little thing that we're able to do. We're able to take all of our wonderful viewers, all of our fellow nerds out there, and go hang out with another person streaming on Twitch. It's a good way to show the love. Unfortunately, there isn't a very good way to do that on YouTube. YouTube's kind of clunky. Even to share that post, I had to shorten it down because there's a 200 character limit. Come on, YouTube, get your stuff together. But if you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure that you are subscribed to us, ring the bell, follow us, share it with your friends, and always, as always, make sure that you comment down below, and we'll see you next time on Monday on Not Your Status Quo. Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.